Tonight on the Bigfooty Blues podcast, we run the ruler over the St Kilda and Port Adelaide games, we talk Player of the Year, we ask some searching questions of Devoid of Caring, and Doc sets off Wookie. All this and more coming right up. Well, good evening. Welcome to the 7th episode of the Bigfooty Blues podcast. With me, as always, is ODN. And Devoid of Caring.
I'm here as always. Always awesome.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all he's going to say for most of the show. And Chief joins us again for the second
time. Overjoyed.
I wish it was a more joyous occasion to have you all on. But unfortunately, we've got to discuss the St Kilda debacle that happened on Monday night, and where we went down despite being the hot favourites to win our first game against the Saints for some time. How did you guys see it? ODN, we'll start with you.
More shattered expectations, huh? We should learn by now. They absolutely suffocated us, and we only came back into the game when it opened up a little bit after they got tired, and despite having some early injuries, we did our best work once we had, we should have been run off our feet, and that's when we came back. So I'm not sure how much of a part the injuries played, but that's what we're going with at the moment.
I think they might have screwed up our rotations a little bit, but
well, I was gonna mention that. It was a complete shitbag of a game. It was horrible. But yeah, just
tell us what you really think.
Don't hold back, man.
Hey,
don't hold back.
Oh, I wasn't. Where am I? No, I am.
if I hear the words "Big Boy McCoy," Big Boy McAvoy, one more time.
I'm not Bruce McAvaney. That
was BT.
Oh. Yeah.
I'll personally stab that guy's eyes out with a pen.
You're an angry man tonight.
But see, BT's profile on the the ESP Sports Agency is that he's consistently acknowledged as one of the most popular commentators in the game.
I think that might have been before he started broadcasting for Channel 7.
It's because he smells like bacon.
Ever since he's gone to 7, he's just been rubbish.
No accounting for taste.
I mean, in a world where Eddie Maguire is popular on TV, what can you expect? I'm just impressed that Doc actually watched the game.
Oh, so am I. Was he sober or?
It was Monday night. I had to. Well, I didn't have. Well, no, I wasn't. I shouldn't say I was. That's a lie. But hey, I always watch it. Thank you very much. When do I not watch the game?
When you're half blind by half time, I think.
That's a lie too.
Chief, how did you see the game, mate? Did you watch it or
through my fingers, sort of thing? Just through the crack in my fingers. That's how I saw the game. Turning away in disgust at times, But I think what Ian said is right, and leave it at that. I don't want to be too negative about it. But
I think
once we get some space and we can run and that sort of thing, great. We lost just 2 players just about before the game started, so...
Some positives. There was some positives.
There was. That whole fight back in the fourth.
We won the clearances.
Yeah.
We won the hit-outs, and we were clearly ahead in the inside 50s.
We should have won the hit-outs. We had 3 ruckmen.
Yeah. I think it's fairly established this year, though, that winning the clearances doesn't mean bugger all. I mean, the top teams, Geelong, Sydney, they're not winning the clearances. And they're still winning, so
very true.
It's not all about having a 2-metre ruckman in the middle just hitting the ball down to people. But that's a subject for another time.
What about the selection table? Playing injured players and
who honestly thinks Cruiser was right to play?
There's no way he was right to play.
Well,
he was nowhere near you.
Well, Yaron as well. Yaron was never right to play. If you're going to somebody that runs as fast as he does and relies on that pace. If he's strained a hamstring and had a scare last week, you could have bet good money on him doing it again in the first quarter. And well, apparently he was right to go, but he wasn't.
It's a little bit of a mystery, isn't it? I just don't get the selection policy. I don't get the way we played. I don't get anything we're doing at the moment. This is very much like nothing has changed since Malthouse came on. I mean, to the point where we selected 3 ruckmen. We did that last year as well.
But this could be also just experimenting before. Like, I don't want to rush everything, but I mean, like, a year down the track, we're probably not going to have the same side. So I dare say one of those ruckmen are probably going to go. There's going to be a few others out of that team who we're seeing recently play that probably aren't going to be there either.
I think the ruckmen are the only real currency we're going to have at the trade table.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean,
I didn't want to get stuck into that, but yeah.
They're good. Someone's going to go, and one of the 3 of them is going to go. It's just a question of who we can get them. I mean, we should be chasing a key forward. Not to cite too much on our forward stocks at the moment, but I just don't rate them. I don't rate.
Not to slight them, but you don't rate them at all.
I don't rate them highly enough. Like they're good workmen, like forwards.
Yeah, there's no big target.
They just don't have an impact.
Target?
But they go missing for large portions of the game, and I've just had this discussion on one of the threads on the Carlton board, and it's Rowe's last performance before he got dropped. He was worse than Hampson, and people were calling for Hampson to be dropped. Rowe's stats were worse, and people are going, well, Rowe missed a year, but Hampson was out from round 15 with a knee injury as well. So at some point you've got to look at it and go...
People want to believe what they want to believe, so...
Well, yeah, and that's a discussion I think we're going to have a bit later on. So... So, any other observations from the game on Monday night, guys? Positives? Any positives? Garlett was okay.
Fourth quarter, we'll say, is a positive. I'll leave that for a positive. I'll say that fight back was something that I personally actually wasn't expecting them to do that. Not so well, but...
It's just like the Richmond game all over again, though, isn't it? Yep. That inconsistency. We go, well, where the hell was that in the first half, in the first 3 quarters? So, one massive positive. I just about jumped through the roof when Walker kicked his goal. That'll go close to the goal of the year.
It was a big move, and he's so fast, and he's so good off half back.
Yeah, it was special.
It was a good effort. I think Henderson's 3 goals in the last quarter, that came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone expected that.
Yeah, well, I mentioned last week about Henderson potentially being a swingman, and I think that I've been vindicated.
But he's been used like that before as well. I mean, it's not the first time he's been sent forward to kick a goal or two after. He got towed in the first half by Rewalt. Like he was getting flogged.
Hang out to dry, pretty much. That was full on bend over, foot, ass, insert.
And so he gets sent forward. He kicks 3 goals in the last quarter. But I mean, everyone came up. Well, not everyone. I mean, I credit, and this is again me personally, and people are going to say I'm biased, but if you're going to credit Henderson with the turnaround in the last quarter, almost as much credit goes to the guy that was kicking him half the football, and that was Hampson. And no one will buy into that. No one. I'm the only person who gave him a vote this week for that. And I tell you what, the voting, I nearly boycotted the voting, and I'll get to that in a minute. But it was just, I did the highlights package last night, and I had 1:45 of highlights up to halftime, and it's the worst I've seen in doing these highlights for a year and a half.
30 seconds of that would have been Walker kicking that goal.
Yeah, and the replay of it, like. It was a rubbish game until halftime, and then the third quarter was a little bit better, and then the last quarter everyone was like, "Oh, we might start playing now." But
I don't understand why St Kilda didn't beat us by, another half dozen goals.
It's not St Kilda's way. They don't kick large goals. They didn't underline. They're not doing it any better under Waters. It's just they don't kick big scores, which is astonishing when you consider they have Rewald up forward.
And we couldn't stop him.
and we couldn't get
Well, this
near.
is the thing, you know. You had someone playing a blinder and, yeah, end up with 3 goals.
True. That's it.
Well, yeah.
St Kilda aren't very good.
They don't play. Yeah, they don't play very good professional football.
As Messenger would say, not very good at professional football.
Yeah.
Which didn't make the podcast last week, but
Yeah. No, this shouldn't either because
one of many things that
they beat
didn't.
us.
So anyway, onto the
Shit.
I think we'll leave the St Kilda game behind there. We lost. We're looking onto the Port game, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. Just the Player of the Year voting. The votes for this time around went to Warnock, Judd, Henderson, Garlett, and Armfield, which works out pretty well. I was going to boycott the voting. I think Warnock is doing his job as a ruckman against inferior ruckman, and he should be dominating them. I'm not sure that's worthy of the 5 votes, but that's my personal opinion, and the rest of the board disagreed.
Yeah, well, maybe he's the reason that we won the clearances. Maybe more taps to advantage.
I'll say now, McAvoy showed a lot in terms of how we should be expecting our ruckman to be playing in games like this. Like when like back in the old days, you would have a ruckman who would drop back and fill that hole exactly how McAvoy did on Monday night. And I don't know where Warnock was playing most of the game. I don't know what he was sitting on, whether he was going forward after the bounce or what the story was. But we had
just running in circles in the middle.
We had 2 ruckmen on the park at all times, and not one of them dropping back to fill the hole. They were running to the same place. You can see it in the Hampson footage I did this week. You can see Warnock just following him around everywhere whenever there was a marking contest. It was just stupid. Katia, best new blue, easily unanimous. In fact, no one else even got a vote. White had a quiet one. Lucas was almost unsighted for most of the game. But yeah, so after all that, Garlett is well and truly in the lead on the leaderboard with 17, and Judd coming in second place there with 12. Tribunal stuff. Eddie Betts 3 weeks, reduced from 5 on if he took the plea. He took the plea, so he got 3 weeks.
Sure.
I'm not going to comment on that at all.
It was this inflation. What the hell? 5 weeks down to 3. I mean, clearly, when you're talking about, if you talk about intention, he was just trying to stop his run. And they talk about he left the ground. Well, Eddie's a short guy. Well, yeah, and look, and when you're doing those sort of bumps, you do tend to go up a little bit, especially if you're shorter than the guy you're bumping. So, I don't know. They just seem to, draw straws when it comes to careless, reckless, intentional, and and in this case, they're looking at the injury to decide on what the impact was. Well,
they've been doing that for the last year and a half.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that doesn't necessarily determine impact. You can just get them flush in the wrong spot for something to, and I think they called it severe because of the broken jaw. But I find it ironic that we lost Eddie for a few weeks because of a broken jaw, and now we're going to lose him because he caused a broken jaw. So we can't take a trick.
There's some irony there, isn't there?
But I mean, you compare. I've compared that to Wellingham's one from last year, and really, look, he came out and admitted, I intended to hurt him, and I don't think he got an intentional. He still got reckless or whatever.
Yeah.
As, the description of it. He admitted he intended to do it, got reckless, and what did he get? 4 weeks, 3 weeks?
It came down to 3, like Eddie.
It was 5 reduced to 3.
Yeah, same thing. And and you look at Colin.
Intentional doesn't mean anything now. It's just if it what's the result? Broken jaw.
Yeah. It's impact. It's all about the impact.
Is everything else just window dressing? The intentional, the reckless, the this, the that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. As long as you don't injure them, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you like.
Mm.
So.
They use a formula, and there's no discretion for actually how the incident looked and what you can see with your own eyes. So, anyway.
So Waite's back as well. Malthouse was very displeased with his absence on the weekend, and as were most of us. I think I think putting it all on him though is a little bit much. I think putting it all on any one player on the weekend is a bit much when you consider like
How terrible it was.
like the very first shot we had on goal. Not the very first shot, but one of the early shots we had on goal was McLean missing from about 3 metres out. Just and it wasn't the only miss we had, and it wasn't the only turnover we had, and we had the chance, and we didn't take it. We didn't play like we wanted to win, and singling out Waite for that, it doesn't help the team, in my opinion. But I'm not the coach. Malthouse is supposed to know what he's doing, and we hope that he does, I guess. Moving on to this week's game against Port Adelaide. How are you guys seeing the game this weekend?
Well, I dare say 3 ruckmen won't be happening. I mean,
Bring in a
look,
fourth.
we've obviously got some guys coming back. Gibbs is probably a in guess from. Does
Let's
anyone
hope
know
so.
that?
It looks like it.
Looks like he'll be back. Waite should be back.
Carazzo should hopefully be back.
Carazzo should be back. Yep.
Yep.
So there's 3 there that will come in, and obviously we got a few coming out too with Betts and Yaron and Allard and shit. Who else?
How's Jamo? We'll have to watch and see how
Half the
Jamo is
bloody
with the
team.
shoulder.
Well, that's going to be a conundrum, isn't it? I mean, he's obviously playing injured at the moment. I wonder if after the Port game he might take a couple of weeks off when we play GWS and Brisbane, maybe.
I don't see why he can't take it off against Port.
Anybody notice how often Jamo ends up in pain after the first contests of a match?
Yeah.
It's happened a few times now since last year.
Well, I'd hope that they'd actually let his injury get better before playing him again, but apparently not. We're just going to wreck the guy before he's 30
Cooked.
or like that guy's shoulders are going to sound like a cement mixer in a year or two.
Put that chook in the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we probably need him down there. Schultz is in pretty good form for Port. He's capable of. He's capable of doing some damage. He's had a bit of a resurgence since he left the Tigers. Mind you, anybody who leaves the Tigers generally has a resurgence. Port's midfield. Boak, Wingard, Ebert, Corns he's another one with the resurgence. Hartlett and Wines. That's not too shabby at all.
It's not a pushover in the slightest, is it? Well, we won't have Betts. Probably no Yaron, no Ellard. So all these guys that have traditionally chipped in over the years, they're not going to be available to us. So the forward line's going to be really interesting. I don't think Henderson will play forward. I think he'll go back to centre half back again.
Yep.
And Wade will come in. The ruck dilemma is going to be interesting, and we'll be waiting because Warnock was apparently injured during the game. If you listen to the commentary, and appeared to be a bit sluggish at one point. But whether he's actually injured or not, it's another story. It's going to be an interesting game.
Are we going to select another small forward?
Well, we're going to have to.
Well, so are we talking about Dylan Buckley coming back in, or are we talking about Menzel getting a game?
I think Buckley.
Menzel's not exactly small though.
No, but I mean, he can play that role. He's a bit of a goal shark, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
it wouldn't surprise me if Watson comes in for Jamison this week.
Yeah, well, I sort of thought of that, and
it
also just maybe. I'm not saying this is going to happen. It's probably hasn't got any legs on it whatsoever. But Hendo stays forward, and Watson comes in for him down the back line, and they end up getting rid of, I don't know, if Cruiser doesn't turn up right or.
I mean, the other option down back is Rowe.
True.
No.
Yeah.
And he has played that position to some success in the Samful in the past. At centre half back. I mean, it is possible to do that, or you can put a Cruiser down there apparently, if you believe anyone.
Well, it did happen a little bit, but he strayed up to the wing and a little bit, but he did play in the last quarter a little bit down back, didn't he?
All right, so
centre half.
match stats for this. Port are one of the few teams that actually have a pretty decent win ratio over us, 13-9. Since 1997, they've drawn once with us. In the last 5 games we've played, we've beaten them 4 times. They've beaten us once. At Etihad Stadium, we've beaten them twice. They have beaten us once. Prior to 2005, we played home games against them at Optus Oval. So,
I'm almost scared to tip this week. Yeah, look, we realistically expect us to win, and I don't expect a blowout at all. Yeah, so it's I'll stick with my usual. We'll narrow it down to about 12 points. How's that?
I'll give you 10 goals. 10
goals.
goals I win by. 10 goals.
That's sweet, Chief. Get pumped.
Come on. Who's going to raise that? Doc, what do you got?
Wait,
10 goals.
lose by 90.
90? 90
90.
goals or 90 points?
I'll raise you by 90.
Oh, Batman would have to be playing at full forward for us.
Gee, that man's drunk. With that guy.
No, it does look like one of those games you think we should win, but then
we thought that about the Saints game too.
You thought about the Saints game, and so I think we're all probably a bit rattled by that.
It's extremely rattled. Maybe Wadey can go and headbutt all the defenders, and he'll be missing for the rest of the year, but he'll be able to kick a lot of goals with no defenders up there.
Yeah, if he headbutts everybody, is that like 22 weeks?
I guess we've got some questions for Doc this week that have been submitted.
Good old questions for Doc.
And we have
questions for Doc.
We have some good questions, and I want to get him started off. Again, as always, been submitted in PM. People don't want people to know who's asking them. These are anonymously presented.
You bunch of turds.
Wait, what?
Keep sending in people. I love it.
Showing the respect for all 60
One
of
day
our
I'm
listeners.
going to make Doc a mod, and you're all going to get banned for the questions you ask.
Yeah. You heard it first. You heard it from Chief.
Don't lead him on. You know you're not going to.
Anyway, so we have
That's right. That's a lie.
We have a couple of questions to get through. And the first one actually comes from Happy Dude on the forums. Is it, why are people scared to ask you questions? Is it your devilish good looks, or are the people worried about what kind of response they may get?
Because they are butter soft.
Butter soft. Not
they can't believe it ain't butter.
Not good for professional football, perhaps.
And I'm just too damn awesome.
So that was a fairly soft one, and that's what you get when you get a publicly asked question. Now,
yeah. Let's bring out the real ones.
Here's the real question. If you were Jack, would you have pushed Rose off the cabinet rather than perish in a watery grave in Titanic?
Wait, what?
That's the question.
What was the first bit of that question?
In the movie Titanic, if you were Jack, would you have pushed Rose off the cabinet rather than perish in a watery grave?
Shit, yes, I'd push her off.
Have you seen Titanic?
Let her survive for herself. What's love these days? Just push her off. Use her as a flotation device. Swim. Use her as a canoe.
I think there was
paddle down to the middle of nowhere.
I think there was an episode of Mythbusters where they actually worked out that they could have both happily survived on the piece of wood themselves.
I always thought that.
Just bloody use her as a bloody raft.
Why don't you move over, you silly cow? You know?
I'm the king of the cabinet.
I'm the king of the...
Oh, now he's kind of the king under the sea.
Oh, Titanic. It's like funny, Mo.
Who asked that stupid question?
Who was that?
I've got to protect them from from themselves. So
that's amazing.
It was me.
Anyway, before we run out of time, final question for you, Sean Hampson. Is he a professional footballer?
Is he? Well, all right. Answer me this question then. Were there a lot of bridges, on the mend taken down on Monday night? Yes, no?
Jeez.
No? Because, god damn, there were trolls everywhere out there Monday night, weren't there? Those trolls. Of course he's a bloody footballer.
Is he worthy of a place in the side, though?
Is he worthy? Of course he's worthy. You know he's worthy. You're with me on this.
I'm neutral. I'm the host. I'm neutral in this.
I just don't know about those really tall blokes.
You are a sook. Open up, walk.
Hey, I'm the one on the battlefront down there on the forums. You're the one sitting there snidely laughing away at people. I'm the one fighting the good fight. I think Hampson is.
I've posted up my butthurt pick a lot.
I think Hampson is a better footballer than people give him credit for.
Absolutely.
I think it is absolutely disgraceful the fact that we scapegoated him to the point where we're treating him the same way we did Thornton for years. We're ignoring the good work that he is actually doing, that people aren't looking at, and people are saying he's not kicking the goals, but that's not exactly what his role is. And Malthouse has said this in press conferences. He said, look, he's there to provide a contest. He gets to those contests. You don't just see him walking around in circles. Like, honestly, with Warnock, I could have a pole.
I was going to say that.
I could have a Stovey pole in the middle of the ground with a hand on it that could do the job just as well as him. There is no way, and if you're not from Adelaide...
Just imagining that.
Seriously, he stands in the middle, he taps down, and then you don't see him until the next set of bounce. I could do that. Give me a stepladder, I'll stand in the middle of the ground, and I'll start palming it down to people, and then I'll do nothing for the rest of the game, and you give me a 3-year contract for it.
And everyone will give you 5 votes.
What the hell is going on with this?
Warnock got 14 disposals at a pretty good, decent percentage.
Disposals. How many marks did he take? How many goals did he kick? Where was he when McAvoy was freaking dominating the back line for St Kilda?
Read the boards. Hampson must have been in the ruck then.
Either he got raptured when whenever McAvoy went near the ball, there was some trans-dimensional beam that transported him to the other freaking end of the ground, or McAvoy was playing on his own. Warnock was nowhere.
Warnock was playing with himself.
You look at the great ruckman of the game today, and I mean, we're talking the good ruckman. We're talking like Cox, and we're talking like other ruckmen whose names I can't remember off the top of my head.
Just use Cox.
I'm sure there are other Mumford and guys like that. They're all running around. They're not just standing in the centre waiting for the umpire to bounce the ball up every goal kicked. No, they're running around kicking the goals themselves. They're running around getting involved in the play. Warnock, I don't know what he does between bounces. He may as well just bounce, sit down, grab a coffee, wait for the next bounce, and that's it. Seriously, I could get a telephone pole out there that could do the same thing, just put a hand on the top of it, and every now and then just change where the hand goes. Anyway.
I can't wait to read the boards. I know I only got 3 people listening to this, but once it gets back, Matt, this is going to be great.
Oh. Anyway, you knew that was going to set me off. You knew it was going to.
I was waiting for it.
The front of house does not suit you, mate. Your role is purely archival.
Archival role. Give you an archival role. Anyway, now that you've set me off successfully, have you got anything else you'd like to say on the matter?
Trolls.
Yeah. All right.
Butt hurt everywhere.
All right. ODN, you got anything you want to do for board talk tonight?
I just want to mention a couple of pretty good threads out at the moment, and they're both from ZCFC. He's excelling himself, and I think he's probably leading poster of the year ahead of I don't know whatever nondescript people got it last year. And he's got a thread out called Lockdown Henderson versus Lock, Stock and 3 Smoking Barrels, which I thought was pretty funny. He's a funny guy, and obviously on the virtues of Henderson back or forward, and another one on the match committee, serving it up a little bit on playing the 3 rucks and playing injured players, and it was a pretty good effort because it's generated a bit of discussion this week.
Excellent.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. We've got to move on to other things tonight. So, again, thank you very much for coming in and having an enjoyable conversation and setting me off like a firecracker. Thanks very much for coming in, Odin.
You're welcome, and see you next week.
And thank you very much, Devoid of Caring.
Always a pleasure, as am I.
And thank you very much, Chief.
Cheers, mate.